Hi, hello there, treasure hunters and archaeologists. This is part 2 of my video series of why I think Indiana Jones, The Mummy, and National Treasure all take place in the same wars. And if you think otherwise, too bad, it's my headcanon. And this is the timeline of how it pans out. In 1912, a young Indiana Jones discovers the coast of Coronado, and realizing it's being held by treasure hunters who won't put it in a museum, Indy's acts fast and steals it from them. Then over his real true eventual, while dealing with it, he gets a scar in the process. Is the first time he ever uses a bullwhip. As he gets the scar in the process, it's also his first time he ever gets uses a bull, but his venture was unsuccessful because it would later be given back to the men. Whilst a guy gave Indy his hat named Golf, and Indy would wear that hat till the rest of his life. Then, meanwhile, shenanigans in Europe. World War I starts. Not good. Because of some wacky shenanigans, because Serbia wanted to be freed from Austria-Hungary, Europe deals with its first and only World War in history. Nothing bad will ever happen after this one. Wait, what do you mean there's a second one coming? Huh? But, yeah. And because of this, many young men of all their nations sign up for to see how hear the story of heroism and adventure, to see what it would bring from all sides, from Austria-Hungary, from Germany, from the Ottoman Empire to the Russian Empire, to all parts of the globe, mostly just Europe. As the Great War begins and as many soldiers die, whilst also in this year whilst also during the Great War, John Adam Gates is born to Thomas Gates. Well, he hears the story of the founding fathers and the temple of treasure that he would pass down to his son and his grandson, which would later inspire an expedition to find the temple of treasure in 2004. But he would never see it. He would die sometime in the 1990s. Whilst meanwhile with the British, as a young Jonathan would later join the war effort, and he would be traumatized by the war, seeing horrific things for 4 years of his life, and seeing how it changed him into the man we all know. Whilst Rick O'Connell would also join sometime during either the United States joined or in 1915 or 1916. I'm just guessing. And would shape him into the man by the time of the 20s and to the eventual. Whilst meanwhile, back in the United States of America, Indiana Jones and his cousin would go over the border to meet some women. Why? Because they're teenage boys, that's why. And they failed. Well, they get separated. As Indy would join the Mexican Revolution. As he would as he would go on another adventure over into Mexico with multiple shenanigans ensued, as he would later meet the leader of the Mexican Revolution, Pancho Villa, who would, during that time, the Mexican Revolution was the idea of, as they would try and fight off against the tyrant of King of the Emperor of Mexico, freeing the Mexican people and bring justice back to Mexico. As later, Indy would meet another foreigner fighting with them, a man named Remy Belon. He's Belgian, I can't pronounce his last name. Remy and Indy would go close, and both of them would agree that this war is not for them. Both of them would agree to say, well, instead of going to Mexico, instead of fighting in New York, they would later fight in World War One, wherein they would become a spy, would later become a spy, a normal infantry soldier, and even a consultant by the end of the war. The war would still go on, whilst Remy and Indy would become good pals in between that. During the time in Africa and the shenanigans. Whilst during the end of the war, and whilst during the 5 days of the war, Indy already held. He started a war. Whilst during the end, whilst the war would go on for another 2 years from when they would join. 2 years of pointless sorrow and men getting themselves killed. Whilst then the war would end. Indy would go back to America, and Remy would later go back to Belgium or go missing. Indy would never hear from Remy ever again for a fight they had while searching for the Peacock Diamond. And Indy would never see his friend ever again, well, at least not until the late 1940s. Whilst Indy would go off to college and become an archaeologist. Whilst Rick O'Connell, after those events, would become eventual and would join the French Legion. And he would become a second in command of a military group working for treasure and for quite a few years. Whilst he would go and whilst Rick would become a great adventurer but all still kind shady as well. Whilst with Jonathan, after the war, would try and go for archaeological career, but his career went down the toilet because of him not taking anything seriously and always dealing with, and how he deal with this sort of thing is with his somewhat dark humor through the war, because of the war. Whilst during that time, Jonathan would also try and find treasure. After the stories of heroes, he would become delusionalized by it. And he would try and generally find treasure for most of his life. Whilst during this time, Rick met a man named Benny during this time. Benny would lead the French Legion again into Oppenheimer, where they would later have a battle against natives of that region, where the French Legion would lose. Whilst during that time, Rick would see something weird. He would see something strange, and he would wander into the desert, not knowing it's the resting place of Imhotep. As he would later run into Jonathan, who would steal something from him, which would be later going interest to Jonathan and his sister to find the city of the dead. Well, and both of them were decided to go on a small expedition to find it. Well, as far as they have to deal with O'Connell, both Evie and Rick would start to fall love by this time. Well, by the time of the trio, they would later else they would find the city of the dead. During this time, they would also find the book of the dead, and by accident, they would resurrect the beast of Ultra, the creature Imhotep. Imhotep would kidnap Evie to try and take over the world and resurrect his love. Well, some wacky shit. Well, also doing, as he would become more powerful, the Magi warrior would also have to team up with Rick and Jonathan to save Evie. Well, he would later escape after the events. Well, they would later he would, army just in case, and trying to kill it. Whilst they find the book of the living, and they would use it to kill Imhotep. Rick would kill Imhotep, Jonathan would become witch, and both Rick and Evie, sometime after these events, would later get married and have a son named Jonathan. Alex would later take after both his mother and his father's spirit. Whilst doing a small expedition into Egypt, Alex found this bracelet of Scorpion King, and would try and tell his parents into the reincarnation of Anox. Some moon tries and takes it from him, and the reincarnation of Ox Moon resurrects Imhotep, and then they would have an Imhotep would try once again to take over the world, and he would kidnap Alex. They must team up with the help of Olive Bay, Jonathan, the O'Connells, then save Alex. But Imhotep has already resurrected the Scorpion King, and he would later attack whilst doing a fight between Imhotep, the Scorpion King. They would Scorpion King, if he would not be stopped, would take over the world. Whilst almost being not until Wicco. Garner through somewhat pot convenience kills the Scorpion King. Then both Imhotep finally being led to rest as Anox Moon, as the recon Anox Moon Beast defeated. Then the O'Connell family escapes from there with Jonathan and Olive Bay. Olive Bay, as Evie would later become awful, and even though it was never mentioned in movies because I refuse the fact that Mummy 3 takes place in the same universe, and would become a famous archaeologist to rival even Indiana Jones, and even somewhat ahead of, and even a curator of the British Museum by the time of the authorities. Whilst meanwhile, John Finn, after finding no set of treasures, would become witch again and would later become a British. Whilst O'Connell would later settle down. Whilst John Finn, being John Finn, would be. Whilst O'Connell finally settles down with his family for now. And this is just the end of Part 2. Part 3 will go from 1935 to 1947. See you next time.